Hey everyone, welcome to this deep dive. We're going to be doing something a little different today. We're going to be diving into the political views of Osho,
Okay.
Indian mystic and spiritual leader.
Right.
And, he had some pretty unconventional views when it comes to the topic of politics.
Yeah, Osho, he wasn't really interested in like the left versus right kind of debates or, advocating for a specific political system.
Right.
His critique of politics really went a lot deeper than that.
Yeah.
He believed that, at the core of politics is this pursuit of power, right?
Yeah.
And that this inevitably leads to corruption and that ultimately no political system can truly serve humanity because of this inherent flaw.
So it's not about like picking the best system. It's that all systems are kind of
Exactly.
inherently flawed.
Yeah, it's about the nature of power itself.
Yeah.
And how that plays out.
It makes me think of that saying, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Yes,
They're
exactly.
kind of along the lines of what?
That's very much in line with Osho's thinking. He would say that it doesn't matter whether you're talking about democracy or communism or any other system in between.
Right.
The desire for power, for control,
Yeah.
will always find a way to emerge.
So like how do we address that? Is there any sort of solution to that, or was he just kind of pointing at the problem?
Well, he was very good at pointing at the problem.
Okay.
And he didn't really mince words about it. I mean, in one of the quotes we have from him, he says, politicians are almost inevitably liars. They live by deceiving.
Wow.
So he felt that, they make promises they don't intend to keep. They use fear. They use manipulation to control people.
Right. And I think we've all felt that at some point,
Oh, absolutely.
that kind of cynicism about politics.
Yeah.
Like, is there any way out of this?
Well, that's where things get really interesting with Osho,
Okay.
because he wasn't into Band-Aid solutions.
Okay.
He wasn't interested in just tweaking the system or getting rid of a few bad apples.
Right.
He really saw it as a much deeper issue. He would say it's like tidying up a messy room over and over again.
Yeah.
Without ever addressing why it keeps getting messy in the first place.
Right. It's like rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic.
Exactly.
It's not really solving the problem. So what did he see as the root cause of this mess?
Right.
That politics couldn't seem to solve. So if politics is just like tidying up,
Right.
what did Osho think was the root cause of the mess?
Well, Osho believed that the real mess, the root of all our problems,
Yeah.
it's not really out there in the world so much as it is inside of us,
Okay.
in our own ego, in our own lack of awareness.
So he's saying like even with the best of intentions, if we haven't dealt with our own stuff, it's just going to...
Exactly. It's like trying to build, a beautiful house
Right.
on a foundation of quicksand.
Okay.
You can make it look really nice, but
It's not going to last.
it's not going to last.
So what was his solution? What was his alternative to that?
Well, he believed that real change couldn't come from just, rearranging the furniture.
Right.
It had to come from a fundamental transformation within ourselves.
Okay.
He talked about the idea of a new man.
Okay.
And it's important to clarify, he wasn't talking about gender here. He used this term to describe a new kind of human being.
Okay.
Someone who had done the inner work to move beyond the ego and to embrace a deeper level of consciousness.
So what does that look like? What is this new man? What are the characteristics? How do they act? How do they interact with the world?
Right. So he saw this new man as someone who isn't driven by the same things that drive us now.
Okay.
They're not seeking power. They're not seeking control.
Right.
They're coming from a place of compassion, awareness, a deep understanding of our interconnectedness.
So it's like their whole operating system is different.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how do we get there? How do we go from being, ego driven to this new man?
Well, Osho believed that the key to this transformation was meditation, cultivating a deeper awareness of ourselves and the world around us.
So not just meditation as like a relaxation technique, but as a tool for real change.
He saw it as a way to break free from the limitations of the ego, and to connect with a deeper sense of who we really are.
So he's talking about like dismantling the foundation of greed and
Yes.
violence and all that.
It's not just about, feeling peaceful. It's about creating a more peaceful world.
But like, how do you reconcile that with all the problems that are like right in front of us, in the world?
Right.
Yeah, it's like we're looking at the reflection of our own internal state.
Right. Like our problems are just a reflection of what's going on inside of us.
So did he think we could really meditate our way out of like war and poverty and all these huge problems?
Well, it's an interesting question, right? Because we tend to think of those as like political problems or economic problems.
Right.
But Osho would say no. They come from greed. They come from aggression. They come from a lack of empathy. And those are all things that we can address through inner work.
So it's like instead of changing the system, change the people in the system.
Change the consciousness of the people in the system.
Yeah. Was he advocating just like sitting around meditating while the world falls apart, or?
No, not at all.
Was there room for?
He wasn't about passivity.
Okay.
Right? Think about like a tree, right? You need healthy roots to have a strong trunk and healthy leaves.
Yeah.
Same thing. He saw inner transformation as the root of a more just and compassionate world.
So both are important.
Both are important. You don't just ignore the problems of the world, but you approach them from a different place.
Okay. So like, how did Osho feel about nationalism and, you know, all these different ideologies that kind of divide people?
Right. Well, Osho, he saw things like nationalism, even rigid religious doctrines.
Yeah.
These isms as, more boxes that we put ourselves in.
Right.
He felt that these constructs, they limit our thinking, they create division, and they really prevent us from connecting with our shared humanity.
It's like we're all one thing and these things just divide us.
Exactly.
Yeah. So did he think meditation could like help us break free from all that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He saw meditation as a way to kind of dissolve these mental constructs.
Yeah.
These limiting beliefs.
Right, because a lot of this is in our minds. It's not even real.
Exactly. It's in our minds. And when we can quiet the mind, become more aware of our thoughts, we can become less attached to those ideologies.
So it's almost like the real revolution is an inner revolution.
Yes. And it makes you wonder, right? What if everyone started focusing on transforming themselves instead of trying to fix the system?
Right.
Could we create a world where we don't even need politics as we know it?
That's a really interesting question to think about. It's pretty radical.
It is radical.
But yeah, that's Osho for you.
That's Osho.
So thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Osho's really unconventional views on politics. Hope you learned something new today, and maybe you'll even try a little meditation. Who knows? It might just change your world.
It couldn't hurt.
It couldn't hurt, all right. Thanks for joining us.
Yep.